Nikki Haley has called for politicians over 75 years old to be required to take a mental health competency test. I wonder who that's aimed at. Both of them, right?
I think it's both. I think she's trolling. It allows her to draw attention to Biden. She's in a Republican primary, but it's a subtle hit on Trump. They're both older politicians. They have every right to run. The competency test is a really long campaign, and people will assess how they seem.
But shouldn't we do that for everybody? Why just over 75? Because, I mean, over here, my 35-year-old
House of Representatives.
Right. Well, I mean, there's only one age requirement. The Constitution has a minimum age, and that was because they were so worried about people passing things on to their famous sons at the time. There's no maximum age, but we have that for pilots and other things. But again, I think it's hard. If you've covered these things, you know how it is. It's hard to run for president. We're going to see how they do. And then you're going to decide at the debates and other forums whether they seem like they got it.
Bill Maher opened real time with a sharp jab at Nikki Haley's proposal to mandate mental competency tests for politicians over 75, using his trademark sarcasm to land the punch. What's next, solving a Sudoku before launching nukes? He quipped, drawing immediate laughs from the crowd. When guest Christoph Waltz joined the conversation, Maher cut to the chase. Was Haley's suggestion a genuine safety measure, or just a cleverly veiled shot at Biden and Trump? Waltz didn't miss a beat, calling it a calculated political move disguised as reform attempt to gently push the aging political establishment off the stage. The discussion quickly turned serious. Does decades of experience outweigh signs of cognitive decline? Are we gambling with national leadership by keeping visibly aging politicians in power? And perhaps the toughest question, why do voters keep electing leaders who seem past their prime? It was a candid cutting, an often hilarious exchange that set the tone for a deeper dive into age, power, and accountability in American politics.
As Don Lemon told us on CNN, women actually can't run for president because he said we're past our prime once we get to our 40s, but since you have to be 35 to run, it's like this really tight window between 35 and 40.
But it presupposes that's the only way you can be mentally incompetent. I mean, I would take a guy who's 90 and forgets a few things, but he's seen a lot in his life and has the experience. And of course, if you have Alzheimer's and you're not there and you don't remember who your wife is, obviously that's a different story. But as opposed to somebody who's 40 and doesn't have a lot of experience, and yeah,
I think you're right. What's funny is I think ageism is real. We see it in a lot of industries.
Oh.
And we see it on a sexist basis as well, as I think you mentioned, which is fair. I just think that what's funny is the one place that you see less ageism in our public life would be politics. When you look at Pelosi, McConnell, the current president, the last president who's running for re-election. So while I do think it's a problem, I think we should be less ageist. We were talking about civil rights earlier. That's one of the things people discriminate on. Having said that, for whatever reason, incumbency, fame, other things, donor class,
and the voters are older.
The voters keep going back to some of the choices that are upper in the age bracket.
There's a movement in Europe going on right now, started by an older gentleman who had to deal with his bank. And the movement's called I'm Old, Not Stupid.
Nikki Haley's push for mental competency tests for politicians over 75 might sound like common sense at first glance. After all, we require regular testing for pilots, surgeons, and bus drivers. So why not for the people making decisions about our economy, national security, and civil liberties? But dig a little deeper, and the idea gets more complicated. Drawing a hard line at age 75 flirts with age discrimination. Does hitting that number automatically mean someone is unfit to lead, no matter how mentally sharp or experienced they are? That's a slippery slope. And let's be honest, plenty of younger politicians struggle to string coherent thoughts together. 2. This isn't really about age. It's about performance. Voters already assess mental fitness every time they watch a debate, listen to a speech, or follow a candidate's decisions. Requiring a test suggests the public can't be trusted to make that call themselves. And that sets a troubling precedent. Maybe instead of focusing on age, we should be demanding higher standards from all candidates, regardless of their birth year.
This data shows that California and New York saw a mass exodus, I don't know, 500,000, wow, of people, with their populations dropping by around 500,000 people. And it doesn't say is that in a year? Maybe it is, or last couple of years. Can anything bring cost of living down in desirable places?
Texas,
heard our discussion.
Florida, Tennessee, no state income tax.
Right.
Nice weather. And something else.
Well,
something else about those states.
Is this a referendum on the way we govern here in California and New York? I mean, obviously, looks like a blue state, red state thing.
I mean, a lot of it is big offices in big cities. Like, I live in Brooklyn. A lot of those big Manhattan towers haven't filled back up with people, but also that was an urban plan built a long time ago, and maybe it's evolving. I totally get it. I mean, in all fairness, I think it's fine if people don't want to be in these super expensive cities and go somewhere else, especially if they don't have to commute to one of those skyscrapers that often, then fine. But I think in New York, from what we can see anecdotally, I don't think all those buildings are going to.
There's a quiet but powerful shift happening across America that rarely gets spotlighted by blue state leaders. Large numbers of people are relocating to red low-tax states like Florida, Texas, and Tennessee. The motivations are clear. High taxes, soaring housing costs, strict regulations, and concerns about crime are pushing many to seek a different way of life. To some, this migration is a silent but sharp critique of progressive governance, a sign that the model may be faltering. Critics view it as a warning flare, while defenders of blue states argue that places like New York and California still offer world-class industries, rich cultural influence, and unmatched diversity. That may be true, but it doesn't change.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
I think one of the good things that happened with the pandemic was when time stopped, we got a chance to sort of reassess. And we were saying to ourselves, why do we need to go to work 5 days? And we don't. Not from, you probably should work 5 days, but maybe you could get your work done in 4 days. They found when people work 80% of the time, if they get paid the same, they do the same amount of work. Because most people, in an 8-hour day, they work 3 hours. So why not? And, save all that commuter time. We come to the office once a week now. Well, obviously today to do the show. But you're welcome. It was a pleasure. But other than that, once a week, and I feel that's perfect. We could do the rest of it at home. I don't need to see my lovely staff. I love them, but once a week is perfect.
Here's the problem.
Remote work has reshaped the way we live and work on. We're still unpacking its long-term impact. On the upside, it's given millions more freedom, no commuting, lower daily costs, better work-life balance, and in many cases, a boost in productivity. Employers have benefited too, with reduced overhead and access to a broader, more diverse talent pool. But it hasn't been a win for everyone, especially younger professionals. With fewer in-person interactions, mentorship opportunities and on-the-job learning have taken a hit. In hands-on fields like law, medicine, and engineering, the absence of real-time guidance is being felt. Even casual office conversations, the ones we thought were just background noise, actually played a big role in building trust, sparking creativity, and strengthening team culture. Now, the real challenge is finding the right balance, flexibility, without isolation, independence, without sacrificing growth. If this struck a chord with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps keep this conversation going. Until next time.